one gives us a lot of big matchups. It also gives us UCLA, Texas A&M, kind of an under-the-radar game. The reason I point this one out, Aaron, is we've got Jim Mora against Kevin Sumlin, two coaches on the proverbial hot seat. As you look across America, we know the names Butch, Jones. I mentioned the two others with Sumlin and Mora, guys that are on the hot seat. Apparently, which ones do you think are justified and warranted? Which ones do you think are a bit ridiculous?
Well, I think ridiculous, and people are going to probably disagree with me for saying this, I think Brian Kelly is ridiculous. I mean, this is a guy that 2 years ago had Notre Dame on the brink of a college football playoff berth, dealt with so many injuries. Obviously, that year was Malik Zaire. All these injuries. I'm blanking on the names now. Obviously, Jalen Smith got hurt in the Fiesta Bowl, but they dealt with so many injuries over the course of that season. They continued to bounce back. DeShone Kizer, new Cleveland Browns starting quarterback, DeShone Kizer, by the way, stepped up and was awesome that year. So to me, look, Mark, part of it is this. You know I'm from Connecticut originally. I was at UConn as a student when Brian Kelly was at Cincinnati running through what was then the Big East Conference. And I believe in this guy. I just think he's a really good coach. I just think he's in a world where the expectations don't meet reality. But obviously a 4-8 season last year, it leaves things in a predicament this year. I think if I was the Notre Dame AD. And obviously, we don't know all the details of Brian Kelly's contract because it's a private school. But, I would feel very uncomfortable letting Brian Kelly go if it was anything worse. If it was anything better than I'd say than a 6-6 year. So 7-5, 8-4. Notre Dame is not an easy place to win. Brian Kelly recruits insanely well. So to me, that one does not feel justified. The one that I will say and by the way, there are plenty that I think are justified. Kevin Sumlin, I know he's won 8 games every year, but he's been putrid in November. Last year, all he had to do was beat either Ole Miss or Mississippi State. Both teams finished 5-7. He lost to both. By the way, fun fact for your next cocktail party, Hugh Freeze's last win at Ole Miss was against Kevin Sumlin and at Texas A&M, so you can take that one with you. But so I get Kevin Sumlin. The one that I would say I don't think people are actually talking enough about that I think is going to come to fruition this year is Butch Jones. That team was, and I get it, back-to-back 9-win seasons, but that team was built to win last year. They basically fell off a cliff. I know you're going to sit here and say, well, they went 9-4. Yeah, but let's be honest. They had better talent than that. They could have easily lost a bunch of games that they won. Georgia at the last second. And then just the way they closed the year. You lose to South Carolina off of a bye. You lose to Vanderbilt at home. I get that the record says 9-4, but there wasn't a single Tennessee fan that was happy with that, outcome. And then, oh, by the way, you lose Josh Dobbs, you lose Alvin Kamara, your starting running back, and you lose a lot off that defense. I think, if they were only, quote unquote, able to go 8-4 last year in the regular season, I find it hard to believe they'll be better than anything better than 6-6 this year. Is 6-6 enough for Butch Jones to keep his job? I don't know, and I don't even know that he's going to get to the 6-win mark. So to me, I would say that Brian Kelly probably I don't agree with. I think Butch Jones probably isn't being talked about enough in terms of hot seat coaching stuff.
Yeah, definitely give Butch Jones credit for lifting Tennessee from a 5 or 6 win program to back-to-back 9-4 campaigns. But then to take that next step, then you have to start beating some really good teams in the SEC to compete for championships. He beats Florida out of the gate in the conference schedule last year, and he had it all in front of him to take the division and get back to Atlanta. And then he drops him to Vandy in South Carolina. So, as you mentioned, the window may have closed with Josh Dobbs and company, Derek Barnett, and all those NFL picks. And the recruiting really pointed toward 2017 for being the year. So, Butch Jones trying to keep his job at Tennessee.
And I would add one more thing, Mark. You say you got to beat the upper echelon teams. You got to take if you're a legitimate top 20, top 15 program, the way that you strive to be a consistent SEC East title contender, maybe in the SEC in the bigger picture behind Alabama, you got to beat the teams that you're supposed to. Forget the Floridas and Alabamas. Take care of South Carolina when you're coming off a bye and South Carolina has a first-year head coach. Take care of Vanderbilt when all you have to do is beat Vanderbilt and you're going to the Sugar Bowl. That, to me, is the bigger concern. It's not the Floridas and Alabamas. It's just taking care of the teams week in and week out you're supposed to. I think that's a big step in the evolution of this program. That's also why I'm not confident that Tennessee, will remain kind of where they have been. Because to me, if you didn't beat Vandy and South Carolina last year, I don't feel super confident that you're going to do it this year. Butch Jones has time to prove me wrong, but I have a lot of questions about that program coming into this season.
Good stuff from Aaron Torres. You can join him on FanRag. Also catch him on Fox Sports Radio. Just follow him on Twitter, and then you'll get the links and everything you need to track him down around a number of media platforms covering college football. Aaron, we appreciate the time. It's always a good discussion, man.